By Stanbic Bank.
Hello, a very warm welcome to Spectrum here on Radio 1. My name is Edmond, your host. Tonight on Spectrum, presidential campaigns for 2011, the 2011 polls close. Did the candidates deal with the critical issues affecting this country? Campaigns for the 2011 presidential and parliamentary elections have officially closed today ahead of the crucial vote on Friday. The candidates have spent 3 months on the campaign trail selling their manifestos in a bid to convince voters. Shortly after nominations, civil society organizations carried out research to try and bring out issues that affect Ugandans so as to be able to ensure a people-centered and issue-based campaign. Under these initiatives, 2 documents, 1, the Women's Agenda 2011, and 2, the Citizens Manifesto, were published and forwarded to all political parties so as to have them incorporated in their respective manifestos. Throughout the campaign, these civil society organizations assessed the candidates to see which ones integrated issues affecting citizens in their respective manifestos. There are 8 presidential candidates in this race, including the incumbent Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of the NRM, the IPC and FDC flag bearer Dr. Chiza Besigye, Federal Alliances Betty Kamya, Norbert Mao of the DP, Jarberi Bidandi Sali of the PPP or People's Progressive Party, Abed Bwanika of the PDP, Dr. Larok of the UPC, and 1 independent candidate, Mr. Samuel Walter Lubega. Now, as campaigns come to a close, we explore here on Spectrum which candidate deserves the vote. We specifically focus on the 2 reports that I mentioned earlier, the Citizens Manifesto and the Women's Agenda, to try and weigh them against the 8 candidates' plans. Our guests tonight, Mr. Arthur Larok, Programs Director at the National NGO Forum, who are the authors of the Citizens Manifesto. You're most welcome, Arthur.
Thank you very, very much, and good evening, listeners.
We are also joined by Ms. Pinna Nandhego, Program Officer for Women in Decision Making at FOWODE. FOWODE is the Forum for Women in Democracy. You're most welcome, Pinna.
Thank you. Good evening, listeners.
Mr. Larok, campaigns have closed. How did they go?
I think there are a number of positives generally we can pick from the campaigns. I think 4 points for me that come out strongly on the positive side. The quality of candidates. And all these comments are really in comparison to what we've had in the past. I think the quality of candidates has been quite improved. I think those who have been accusing Ugandans of lacking leaders should be swallowing their words, because everybody has been saying in the past that beyond Museveni we cannot see anybody else. I think these campaigns have presented credible alternatives to the president without a question. That's for me the first point. The second one is that relatively they have been peaceful. Isolated cases of violence here and there, but relatively they have been peaceful, meaning that increasingly Ugandans are looking at what matters. Nobody benefits from violence, especially during campaigns. Maybe after campaigns it can be understood, but before it doesn't make sense to be violent. So I think this again is a positive thing. And thirdly, the focus on issues. I think many candidates talked about important issues that matter: education, health care, small businesses, agriculture, corruption. You know, these have been issues that have been talked about quite significantly, against the experience in 2006, for instance, or 2001, when there was quite a bit of character assassination, stereotypes, and things like those. Finally, there have been some challenges that we need to admit. One of them is that where violence has reduced, the use of money has significantly increased. So in my opinion, money has replaced violence in terms of bribery and many other things. I think several reports attest to this. Just the amount of money that some of these political parties have been able to marshal are unbelievable. And the point we need to emphasize as Ugandans is to do an audit. Every political party must come and explain to Ugandans where they got the money, because if this is how taxpayers' money was used, in some cases, then it is unfortunate. Secondly,
how would opposition parties get hold of taxpayers' money?
No, not opposition. I'm talking largely. I think the party that has used most money has been the NRM.
All right, okay.
And that. But when we ask of accountability, it should not just be NRM. Even the inter-party cooperation have done quite interesting things this time round, which really costed a bit of money, media engagements and the like.
Right.
So for purposes of transparency, it is good to understand where this money comes from. Then the other negative aspect is that in isolated cases there have still been violence, which means that in some cases we still need to do a lot of work, especially at the grassroots, where people still fight over individuals. I think we saw in the media people fighting over money, people fighting over which candidate. There were isolated cases, which still means there's quite a bit of work to do in that regard. And so, but overall, I think everybody would agree that it is positive. The media, I think, was very, very good at the beginning, especially. I need to insist on this. But towards the end, it became a bit tricky that, for instance, there was denial of opposition to access media in Bunyoro, in northern Uganda. So these are cases that are things that we should overcome in the future. The final challenge for me, which is a structural one, it is nothing to do with these campaigns, but more to do with what is likely to happen on Friday, is the Electoral Commission. I still am very disappointed about the Electoral Commission, and immediately after the elections, we should intensify the demand that it must be reconstituted.
All right, we'll talk specifically about the Electoral Commission later in depth, since it's a core participant in this whole exercise, if not the lead entity there. Let's talk about the candidates. You say they broadly address the issues. You're happy with the quality of the candidates, and you think we have some visions other than the one vision that we've known for 25 years?
Absolutely. They are certainly credible. We did an analysis, which I think I need to inform the listeners in. We used the Citizens Manifesto as a yardstick to measure what political parties are saying. And it came out clearly, if we are to talk about findings, I think all parties have strong, even Lubega, the way he talks about the way he talks about cultural institutions and the important role that religious agencies can play, no other party speaks to that extent. PDP of Dr. Abed Vanika, what he presents in terms of making Uganda a tourist destination, a center of attraction in the region, is excellent. What Federal Alliance talks about in terms of federalism, there's no party that goes to the depth with which Ugandans should be seriously thinking about this federalism as an alternative to the centralized, unitary structure. When you think about the FDC and its the inter-party cooperation, they have been quite strong in articulating governance problems that affect this country and what can be done about corruption, what can be done about a bloated public administration, what can be done about human rights. They are the only party that comes out very strongly to actually support the independent work that civil society do, the independent work that media does, and so it is really worth listening to what the inter-party cooperation, actually, in fact, the inter-party cooperation is the only group that signed up, by the way, to the Citizens Manifesto and said there is a striking similarity between the issues in the Citizens Manifesto and the inter-party cooperation. NRM is very strong in economy. You know, the way they have analyzed the economy, economic infrastructure, they have very specific things. They say, we shall put this dam here on this during this month and the like, and things like those. Their major undoing, though, is their manifesto is a bit dishonest. The problems that Uganda faces.
I would like us to talk about the scorecard, how the individual candidates or the parties scored against your own Citizens Manifesto in real detail. Let me come to you, Pinna. Did the candidates address women issues?
Thank you very much. From our observation as women's organizations, I think, I don't want to say that they really addressed women's issues, but I would like to say that half-half, we are happy with the campaigns. First of all, some of the issues that we wanted, as in the women's agenda, have been addressed by some parties. I don't want to say all. I'll particularly talk about the few parties that we have interacted with closely. We looked at their manifestos to see the issues that they are addressing. The NRM, for example, there are issues of maternal health, which are really pertinent to the women of Uganda. As women...
Normally maternal health goes with child health, maternal and child health.
Yes.
Is that the same language?
Yes, that is it. As women of Uganda, we are really concerned that so many women are dying. And we have already said that no woman should die while giving birth, really, especially due to issues that can be solved. Many of these women die not because something cannot be done, but because maybe there is negligence, maybe the doctor is not there to attend to the women, maybe the drugs which came to the hospital don't reach the patients. So many of our women have been dying, and I'm glad that some of these issues have come out in the campaigns, in the NRM government. I mean, in the NRM manifesto, the issue of maternal health is there. In the FDC manifesto, the issue of maternal health is there. So we are happy. But I would like to say that we still demand for more. Because much as these parties are promising us that they are going to address these issues, we want to see the concrete plans. We haven't seen those plans.
Plans with figures on the side?
With figures. With
timelines.
Yes, this is when we shall do it, and this is how we are going to do it. Because this gives us an opportunity to follow up. But when you have a blank statement like we are going to address issues of maternal health, it becomes very hard for us to
You can't quantify it.
Yeah, we can't. And then the other issue maybe which has come out quite well during this campaign is the issue of education.
Yes.
We are all concerned about the quality of education in Uganda, and I'm glad that this is an issue that has come out in the campaigns. From mainly the two candidates. The NRM
Which one? Mr. Lubega and Dr. Monica? Which two candidates are you talking about?
No, the NRM candidate,
okay,
and also the FDC.
All right.
They are concerned that the quality of education is not good, and we are not happy about it.
Right.
In our women's agenda, we had an issue about the dropout, the high dropout, especially of girls. We know that we have universal primary education and universal secondary education, and in these two schemes, many girls enroll into schools. But then we know that very many of these girls don't complete. And why don't they complete? There are issues in there, why these women are not completing education. So we would like any person who wins this election to address some of these issues of education, and this is an issue that has been talked about during the campaigns. Then, of course, the other issue which has been addressed is the issue of empowerment, economic empowerment, ensuring that the women have something to do.
Yes.
They can earn an income on their own. Because we believe that when these women have something in their pocket, they will have a say, and the quality of their life will improve.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So
well, you seem to have gone soft on the candidates. You say they've given you, but according to the MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals,
yes,
health is supposed to be the expenditure on health is supposed to be 15% of the national budget.
Yes.
None of these candidates seem to be emphasizing that, and yet you say, things are well. Are you not being complacent?
No, I didn't say that. I said that we are not really so happy, but I said that somehow they have addressed our issues, and of course we have to give them benefit of doubt.
Right.
Whoever wins and comes into power has to tell us how he's going to do this. And maybe I need to say that as the women's movement, we are going to follow up. They have made promises, good, but we are going to follow up on these promises to see what are they actually doing.
Right.
And maybe one thing I would like to mention is that whoever wins this election should be ready that we are coming, we are going to ask them how they are doing these things, and they should be able to account to the women of Uganda.
So whoever wins the election,
yes,
whether it's Honorable Betty Kamya or Dr. Olara Otunu, they must be ready to account to you on those specific issues.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about economic empowerment of women. How exactly would you want it to be done?
We want, first of all, the women of Uganda they are so much involved in the informal sector, in the markets. Go to Owino, go to Nakasero, go to Nakawa. That is where the women are, the majority of the women. But these women have a lot of challenges in their businesses. They have challenges accessing loans. They have challenges marketing their goods. So we need a system that will ensure that the women can market their produce. We need a system that will ensure that the women can access loans, more friendly loans, because we know that many of these loans are tagged onto collateral and that kind of thing. These are some of the things that the women cannot afford, and therefore their businesses are not doing well. We need women to be able to access good jobs. We all know that, okay, someone may say that who's refusing them to access the jobs. We all know that many, of course, the education levels of the women are lower compared to the men due